Sawadee ka! Welcome to Hot Thai Kitchen. Today, let's talk about spelling Thai words such as food names in English. This is a subject that has bothered me every time I look at a Thai restaurant menu, every time I have to write out a Thai food name on my own website, and literally every time I have to spell out my own last name in English. We're going to talk about why spelling Thai words in English is a lot more complicated than it seems, why you might have seen 7 different ways to spell Pad Kaprao, and which one is correct. It'll be a bit of a rant, just as a warning, but one that I hope you find interesting and maybe even useful when you order Thai food or go to Thailand. Let's get started. So is it Pad CU, Pad CU, or Pad CEow? Is it Som Tam or Som Tum? Is it Radna, Ladna, or Lardna? Why are there so many different ways to spell the same dish? And most importantly, which one is correct? Let's answer the second question first. Which one is correct? Well, they are all wrong. There's no correct way to spell out most Thai words using English letters. Whatever you do is just all various degrees of wrong. But really though, all wrong? Well, okay, there is an officially correct way that I still think is wrong, but we will get to that. The reason I say it's all wrong is because there are so many more sounds and tones in the Thai language that just cannot be written out in English. So for as long as you're confined to the 26 letters of the English alphabet, it will never read the way that it should. Let's take a super easy example, Tom Yum soup, a famous Thai soup most people know about. In Thai, Tom Yum is pronounced Tom Yum. But how do you write Tom in English with that unaspirated th sound with a short o vowel and then the rising and falling tone of Tom? You can't. So most people think that the closest they can get is Tom, but that reads Tom, not Tom. It's the best we can do, but it's still wrong. So the only thing we can do is to get as close as possible. Unfortunately, each Thai person has their own idea of what the closest thing is. For example, masaman curry. I have seen masaman with 2 S's, masaman with 1 S, masaman with a U, and even somehow masaman with a T. To further complicate things, a lot of Thai words are often mispronounced by Thai people as part of casual speech. For example, in English, instead of saying what's up, a lot of times we just say what's up, right? And so the same thing happens to Thai food names. And the best example of this is the famous dish Pad Kaprao. Notice that R in prao. It is extremely common for Thai people when talking casually to omit the R altogether. So that's why you see various versions of Pad Kaprao or Pad Kaprao all over Thai menus. It is also extremely common for the R to be put in the wrong place. So you see various versions of Pad Kra or Pad Grapao. You may have seen Pad Kaprao written both with K and with G. And the reason for this is because the real letter Gao Gai is somewhere in between a G and a K. It is not Pad Ga Prao. It is not Pad Ka Prao. It's Pad Kaprao. It's very subtle. So some people think it's G, like I tend to think it's closer to a G, but other people think it's closer to a K. And that's why we have all these different variations. So where does that leave us? We've got no good phonetic match for many Thai sounds. Thai is a tonal language, English is not. We've got some Thai people using casual speech as a reference, not to mention there are just many different ways to spell out the same sound. For example, in Kaprao, you can use AO or you can use OW. So with all of that, we are where we are. Let's take another common example that happens to be my biggest pet peeve. Larb. Ugh, I hate that word. So larb in Thai is pronounced laab. But the reason why so many Thai restaurants choose to put R in it, even though there is no R sound anywhere in laab, is because in Thai we don't have the R sound. R, like this does not exist. Okay? But when we see the word car, Thai people say ka. When we see bar, Thai people say ba. So over time, people have come to think of ar as being the sound ah. Now, if you live in the UK or Australia, it doesn't really matter because you're going to say laab anyway. But come to the US and Canada and it turns into larb, which is just awful. By the way, speaking of R, even though in Thai we don't have the R sound, we do have a hard roll R that is rå รือ. But like that takes a lot of effort, right? Rå รือ. So whenever rå รือexists in a word, in casual speech, a lot of times it just gets turned into L. It gets turned into L. So this is why the famous noodle dish raat na often shows up on menus as laat na because that is the casual speech version. But why is this frustrating to me? So what? There are different ways to spell the same dish. What is the problem? Well, I am glad you asked because I am sitting here trying to teach people how to cook Thai food, people like you who want to learn to make them, right? But so often, people cannot find my recipe because of these different spellings. More times than I can count, people are like, do you have a recipe for X? I can't find it on your website. Except it is on my website, just with an R instead of an L, for example. Or sometimes I've even had people ask me, is Pad Kaprao the same thing as Pad Kaprao? Because like, are they just like variations of the same dish? Like, they don't even know if it's the same thing. So this is a real problem for people trying to look up Thai recipes. Google search is often smart enough to know that these are variations of the same dish, but sometimes it is not. So takeaway is, if you're looking for a recipe and you see something that looks kind of like the dish you're looking for, probably the same thing. What makes me even more frustrated, as if that is even possible right now, is I have been forced to spell things in such a way that I think is more wrong, but I have to do it because that is the most recognizable spelling of that dish. And if I want my recipe to be recognizable, if I want it to show up in search, then I have to do it anyway. For example, khao soi. This is the most common spelling of khao soi. But what is that H doing there? Nothing, right? You cross it out and it still reads exactly the same, khao soi. So why do we need to put it there? I know why, and we will get to that. But originally, I wrote up my recipe with KAOSOI, khao soi, because I believe simplest is best. But guess what? People couldn't find it. They go on my website and search for khao soi, and it doesn't show up. It didn't even show up on Google search. So finally, I was like, okay, I give up. I changed it to khao soi, and now people can find it, and I'm even showing up on Google searches now. If you're thinking, isn't there some sort of a standardized guideline that tells you how Thai is to be Romanized into English? Well, I am glad you asked again, because yes, there is, and that is half the problem. There is a government-generated guideline that tells you exactly which English letters are to be used for which Thai letters, and that is the officially correct way to spell all Thai words that I mentioned earlier. The problem is, this table is not strictly based on the closest phonetic match. It's only kind of loosely based on the closest phonetic match, and let me explain with an example. If you've ever wondered why Thailand is spelled Thailand and not just Thailand, well, it is because of this official guideline that says Tho Thahan, the Thai letter in Thai, is supposed to be represented by TH. But one must wonder, why not T? Because T sounds like a much better match for Tho Thahan. In fact, it's almost perfect. What is with the H again? Well, it is because, according to this guideline, T has already been taken by another letter. And that letter is Ta Tao, the unaspirated T in Tom Yum that we talked about earlier. You can kind of think of this T as the Spanish T in tortilla, right? Now, one must again wonder, well, why not use T for both of these letters? But I guess somebody decided that it was important to differentiate between the unaspirated and the aspirated sounds, and they use H to mark the aspiration, so that when you see TH, you know it's supposed to be a T, and then when you see T, you know that it's supposed to be a T sound. Except no one knows that, because most people don't even know that this guideline even exists. So for the average person, this just ends up causing confusion. But this is exactly why you see random H's everywhere in Thai food names. Khao soy, Tom Kha, even phat Thai, which is exactly how you'd have to spell pad Thai if you were following this guideline. If everyone followed this guideline, it wouldn't be so bad because there'd be predictability and consistency, except people don't. Like, people don't know this guideline exists, some follow it, some kind of half follow it, and this is how we end up with a million ways to spell the same thing. As if this is not complicated enough, there is another official guideline. Let's take the Bangkok International Airport. If you've ever been to Thailand, you know that you'll have to land at this airport, right? Looking at the way it's written, how do you think it should sound? Are you thinking something along the lines of Suvarna Bhumi? Well, whatever it is that you're thinking, it is not even close. This airport is pronounced Suvarnabhumi. And the funny thing is, Suvarnabhumi is one of the very few Thai words that can actually be spelled almost exactly in English. But no, they decided to go with the official guideline for romanizing Thai words that are rooted in Pali and Sanskrit, which is a thing I am not going to get into, but that is exactly why Suvarnabhumi is spelled so differently from the way it sounds. Like, you couldn't even guess if you didn't know. I understand why they made this choice to go with the Pali-Sanskrit guideline. But for travelers to Thailand, which is exactly who is going to have to say the name of this airport, this is kind of a problem. Because if you get into a taxi and you say that, can you take me to Suvarnabhumi, they may not know what you're talking about. And if they do, it's probably because they've learned from experience that when foreigners say they want to go to something humi, they meant Suvarnabhumi. And FYI, if you're traveling in Thailand, many street names, official place names, even some people's names and last names are spelled using this Pali-Sanskrit guideline. So what is the point to all of this? Am I just ranting to get things off my chest? Yes. But I also want to leave you with some practical takeaways for when you're ordering Thai food or traveling to Thailand. 1. In the context of food, if you see dish names that are similar to each other, there's a very good chance it is actually the same thing. 2. When you see the word pad, that means to stir fry. So whatever dish you're looking at, you at least know it is a stir fry of some sort. And pad can also show up as phad, pud, or phat. 3. Tom means to boil, and it is prefix for soups. So when you see that on a menu, you know it is a soup. And I have also seen it show up as thom or datom. 4. If you see a dish beginning with yum, it is a salad, but it can also show up as yam. 5. Dishes beginning with gang is a curry, and it can also show up as gang, kang, or kang. 6. This is an important one. If you see an R following a vowel, do not pronounce it. It is laab, not larb. Tom ka, not tom kar. R or none of these sounds exist in Thai. And by the way, if you ever run into a Thai person whose name is P-O-R-N, be respectful, don't giggle. It is pronounced pawn. 7. If you see PH, KH, or TH, it is safe to just ignore the H. Pretend it is not there. So if you're in Bangkok and you need to get off at the Thong Lo station, it is Thong Lo. Or if you need to get off at the Phrom Phong station, it is Prom Pong. Finally, if you're traveling in Thailand, it is worth finding out ahead of time how places you're going to are actually pronounced because, as I said, it is not always obvious, right? So when you're asking for directions, getting on a taxi, people can more easily understand you. And for the record, my last name is pronounced Chongchitnant. No, I did not choose to spell it this way, my dad did, but in order for me to be recognized on paper as his daughter, I had to keep the spelling the same. But within my extended family, like my aunts and uncles, we're like all the Thai restaurants. We never sat down to agree on how we were gonna do this in English, so each one has decided to do it differently. Like there is not a repeat at all. So we can actually identify who belongs to whose lineage based on how we spell Chongchitnant in English. And that is it. If you're interested in learning more Thai words, I do have a series of 3 videos teaching Thai language for travelers, including basic words, food words, and useful restaurant phrases. So if you're going to go to Thailand anytime soon, or if you just want to impress your local Thai restaurants, check that out. I will link to them below. A special thanks to all of our Patreon members who help support the show. If you want to know what that's all about, how you can join our private discourse, you can chat with me about how to pronounce different things, you can check out the link in the description below. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time. Sawadee ka.